Oh, okay, I'm here. I got in, Sonia. Okay, bye.
Hi.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, we got a good turnout this morning. I usually try to say all my students' names, but I think this list is a little overwhelming for me too. Okay, I'll let the last couple get in here. Wow, lots of familiar faces or names, I should say. So good morning and welcome to our first, actually this is not our first, this is an old script, our on the move ground operations. We do have an in-flight version of this, which I hear is happening on December 1st, just verify with your FSO110 prof, but this one is dedicated to the ground operations. And we're very excited about this ground operations guest speaker session. We're so pleased you made the time to come and attend our session, and we are excited to hear from our guest speakers, most of whom are recent grads or current students. This session is recorded. If you have to step away for a couple of minutes, it's no problem. You can turn on your camera if you'd like. We love to see your faces, but it's not necessary if you don't want to. And for those that do not know me, my name is Jennifer Patrick. I am one of your FSO125 profs, and I'm also a WestJet flight attendant and formerly a customer service agent. I met quite a few of you at orientation when we had our in-person one, so it's nice to see you still in the program and being involved. I also teach career placement, which you will have an opportunity to join in the 4th semester, along with Ava Shu, who also teaches career placement in FSO 125, and she's waving there. She's a former international flight attendant with Cathay Pacific. We also have the lovely Claire. She's on, and she's waving there in her uniform. We also have Lisa. She's her camera's on, if you can give a wave. And we have Ron. Good morning. So we have some of your FSO 125 profs. Unfortunately, not all of us can make it since, this is not all of your class times. So we do have a large group of first semester students that started this semester, and you will hear shortly that our flight services program has helped prepare students for their jobs in aviation, whether on the ground or in the air. This program is so successful that it continues to grow, and we continue to foster relationships with the airlines. However, we would not be able to continue these relationships if it wasn't for our amazing students who represent Seneca so well in the workforces. Before we meet our panel, I'd like to remind students that you do have a reflection. The reflection is due in next week. For my students, it is due Wednesday before class. Just check out your course page for the questions, as well as the due dates. The session will be about an hour and a half long. We're going to save some time at the end for questions. You can also ask questions in the chat. Ava will be responding to the questions, and she will also be asking the panelists should you have a question. So yeah, feel free. If something comes up during session, you don't have to wait till the end, just ask it in the chat. Or you can even raise your hand using the reactions. So without further ado, let's meet our VIPs. The former students graciously decided to answer our emails and say, yes, we would love to attend. And actually one of our panelists is still a student. So I will briefly introduce their names, and then I will get them to come on turn their mic on and introduce themselves. So first we have Ashely Rego. He's our famous Ashely. He just graduated in the summer of 2023 from our FSO program. Next we have Katie Clewer. She is a graduate from 2022, correct? Okay. So I want to make sure I got that right. And she is a CSA with WestJet, and Ashely is a PSA with GTA Dnata and Emirates, as well as Air Transat. And we have Prince. Prince is in the 4th semester, and he is a PSA with Porter Airlines. So I'm just going to go in order of the way you are on my version of the Zoom with the questions. So Katie, you're first. But before I'd like to just mention that Katie just got accepted into a pilot program with Sioux College. So we'll probably learn this throughout the session, but her dream is to also be a pilot. So she's been accepted to a program. So that's awesome. So let's give her a round of applause or a reaction. So we're very excited.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah. So Katie, can you briefly introduce yourself and just let us know what you do for WestJet?
So I started Seneca College in September of 2021, and originally I was in the 2-year program, operations and cabin management. However, I decided to work through the summer or study during the summer and do my career placement with WestJet in the airport. And then as soon as my career placement ended, WestJet actually opened up a job offering for customer service agents to work part-time. So I applied and got accepted right at the end of my placement. And then because I got accepted at WestJet, I decided to graduate early and focus now on my career and build up my resume. So now I work as a part-time CSA or customer service agent at WestJet. So I do check-in all the way up to gates and arrivals.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And Ashely, you're next on my Zoom list here. So do you mind just introducing yourself and letting us know where you work in your role and your time at Seneca?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ashely. I hope you can hear me clearly. Amazing. I joined Seneca in winter of 2022. That makes it December of last year at this time. As I was literally speaking to Ms. Jen, time flies by. It literally feels like I've graduated yesterday. And coming back to see so many of you guys, it's a pleasure to be speaking now in a place where I had attended very much this very same thing in my first semester. I've been working with GTA Dnata for about a year at this point. I started my work and application process in December. Time has flown by, and it started off with the Air Transat as a customer service specialist. Made my way over to Emirates, which I also now work with. And similar to Katie, I've had a passion for aviation right from the start. Of course, being limited and grounded down to being an international student, hence had to start off with such an amazing program, but of course work my way eventually to being a pilot. At Dnata, I have the pleasure of helping individuals at check-in, at the gates, and also now most recently helping individuals, that is our new agents, into their job roles and training them for what's to come. So it's such a pleasure and looking forward to be speaking to you and answering your questions.
Amazing. Thank you, Ashely. And Prince, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yeah, of course. So my name is Prince. I am still in school for Seneca College. I am in my 3rd semester now, and I'm currently working as a customer service representative for Porter Airlines. I kind of do the same thing with Ashely and Katie as well. I do check-in. I also go to gates for departure and arrivals. And yeah, that's basically the job of being a customer service representative.
I love it. Sorry, I said you were in the 4th semester. I jumped a semester for you.
No, I still have one more.
And good for you for staying in the program. It is possible, like we actually all 3 students worked in aviation while studying at Seneca. It is possible. We definitely work with you to make sure you finish your program. So yeah, don't think that you can't start applying to airlines yet. You can definitely start applying. I usually tell my students wait till maybe the 2nd or 3rd semester, but yeah, you definitely can start looking into things. And I'm just going to do a plug right now because I have you all on the line here. We do have a career expo that is in February. It's the first February. It's the first Monday in February, and that's where you'll meet a lot of airlines and people that do recruiting for the airlines. So mark your calendar that's happening, and it's a good opportunity to start looking into, what airline you want to work for. Or you can be like me and just work at any airline that hired me, because that's actually what I did before WestJet. And then I knew I wanted to work at WestJet. Okay, so Katie, can you just let us know, describe how you chose aviation? Like what was this a dream of yours? Like how did that road look for you?
Mine is a bit different than most people's. I feel like most people know right off the bat that they would like to join the world of aviation. I was actually all geared up to go to university to study psychology, and throughout all of high school, I'd focused my programs on studying psychology. And then the summer before I was supposed to start, so I already received my acceptance letter to Queen's. I had a huge change of heart and said, this is not for me. But you know what is traveling, and then I found a love for aviation through doing my own research on what the career really entails. Because although you do travel, it's not just about all the travel and the benefits. There's a lot to it, and a lot of hard work and dedication that goes into the field of aviation, which you all know because you are in college. So I made my choice the summer before I started at Seneca College, and then I fell in love with it ever since.
Amazing. Thank you. Ashely, do you want to give us your story about love for aviation or what happened?
To say a lot happened would be the most appropriate answer from my side. A little TMI for many of you, like I had said this even in the last event we had similar to this. Funny enough, both my parents, mom and dad, have been in this field to a point where dad almost missed my delivery because he was at work at the airport. Well, that's something I tease him to this date. But trust me, like when you come down to the line where you will have kids, and if you continue in this field, you will get to a point where you're like, no, you do not want to keep your kids in the same field. But I tease them to date that they almost did this to me. And that's why I'm in here. But trust me, aviation's been part of me since birth, as it's obvious. But it's not just down to at the airport. For me, flying itself is a real big motivator. Anytime I get onto a plane, be it even at this role, just gets me into a Zen mode if it makes sense to any of our let's say younger generations at this point, but it just makes me be myself. And that's more important. That's something I see that's really important for any individual. And I've never looked left or right, to be honest. I'm so glad Katie has had the exposure to look at other fields before making it into this field. I myself have had different fields as interest subjects like psychology or biology, but I knew it from day one that I wanted to stay here, and aviation was what kept me honest. And that's what I pursued from day one. So of course, just like Katie, aviation and flying was a big thing for me to a point where I was accepted into flying school in Australia, and then COVID happened. Wow. So that's when I had to rethink everything. And I had 2 years to do that, to be honest. It wasn't as like I needed to change plans on emotion. So gave me enough of time. Seneca was an amazing opportunity. Some of my best of friends have graduated from this college. And more importantly, the professors from day one have been there to say that, yes, as an international student, you can do it. And fast forward 2 years down the line and seeing where I am right now, I think I've gotten there. So, and that goes for each and every one of you, local or so that's domestic or international students. Keep your feet grounded, and I'm pretty sure you can end really, really well into this industry. And that's something that I'm going to be speaking quite a bit on today.
Thank you, Ashely. And that's a great point. You can be hired as an international student, maybe not at every airline, but there are opportunities out there. So don't feel defeated if you come to Canada, come to our program, because there's a lot of success stories we have of international students. Okay, Prince, can you share with us how you ended up in aviation?
Yeah, so, well, back in the Philippines, two of my cousins are working for Cebu Pacific and Philippine Airlines. So growing up as a kid, I see them getting ready all the time, flying, visiting places. So of course, I really want to become one too. But then when I moved here, when I was 15 years old, I didn't know how to become a flight attendant. I didn't know how to enter an aviation program. Not until I visited Toronto last July of 2022, I actually saw a poster at a bus stop that says Seneca College Flight Services. And I thought of, oh no, there's a flight attendant program. So I applied, and then luckily I got in, and then everything started.
I still remember you in my class. I think it was your first day. I had Katie as well. I did not have Ashely till my third semester, but we definitely knew each other. But yeah, it's definitely an amazing way to get into the industry. There's so many opportunities. Like when I was first looking for a job in aviation, I didn't know about the Seneca program, so I had to do it the hard way and get rejected. And I started a different program, not knowing about Seneca. So this is an amazing way to get into the industry and learn more about the industry, obviously. Okay. Can you just kind of walk us through how you were hired at your airlines? Like, did you apply? Was it placement? Can you kind of go through that process? What was the requirements? Like, did you have to have a PR card? Can you kind of walk us through that? We'll start with Katie.
So as I mentioned before, I did my career placement in third semester with WestJet. So I actually did my interview with Donna and Mo at Seneca College, and Donna and Mo are like basically our higher ups in the airport. And we did our interview process. We did a group interview and we did a one-on-one. And then we started our training in the airport. So we had about a day, like about a 9-hour shift of training, walking us through the kiosks, because unfortunately with WestJet, we weren't permitted to obtain a rake, our restricted area card. So we were only permitted to stay pre-clearance, so pre-security. So we were assisting our guests at the check-in kiosks. We had quite a few shifts as placement shifts, and then WestJet opened up a job posting for customer service agents. So as soon as I saw it open up, I applied immediately, let all the other career placement students know that there was a job opening. And then I applied at night, and then I heard back the next morning from Donna again saying that I was hired. I asked if I had to do another interview process, but she said that was okay because we had already basically done the interview process at Seneca College for our placement class. And then we started our training. So we did about 5 days of online training. We did 2 days on the job training, and then we had our test. And then that was it. We were officially CSAs. You work in the airport at check-in for I think it was about the first 3 or 4 months. And that was because there was a delay on getting your restricted area card for us because of COVID. They were still catching up for the processing because it does take quite some time to get your rake. And then about 3 or 4 months later, we did our gate training. So we had expo training and gate controller training. And then that's when I was finally allowed to go past security and work flights, do arrivals and do departures, which is by far my favorite part of the job. I absolutely love doing arrivals and departures. They're very hands-on, they're very busy. You have a lot to do, but it's so rewarding when you can get that flight out on time or early.
Amazing. Hopefully you're working tomorrow when I'm doing the SXM flight.
I always miss you.
No, I know. Yeah. Okay, great. Ashely, can you walk us through your hiring process and all that stuff?
Surely, actually, it was a little different for me because, unlike Katie, I hadn't reached the point of my placement at the time. As an international student, there is a timeline between which you're allowed to take a break to complete the necessary time in Canada that you need to be a student. So during that time, I did a bit of looking around. And funny enough, I actually got this very job application available on our Seneca website. So for all of our students, in fact, there is a very good website built by our professors and Seneca as a whole, where you can see all job postings. And I'm pretty sure if you haven't had an opportunity to have a look yet, please do so. It is updated to the T every 2 weeks, to be honest. As soon as there's something up, it's up there. And that's where I saw the posting. And it was at the time, of course, with everything being online. I had 2 interviews, one directly with the terminal managers that I know now and very fond of at this point. And of course, at the end of the day, when I passed that one with the actual customer services manager. So with the round of 2 interviews, then it led into training itself, one specific to Dnata with Dnata standards and all the requirements. And of course, things which will be covered for you in semester 3 and 4. And more importantly, specific to the airline I was working with. Since I mentioned at the time I started off at Transat, I had a week or hands-on training at the terminal with the way Transat operates, right from check-in. And fortunately enough, when I was hired at the time, it was with the mindset that I would be immediately as soon as I get my rake doing gates. So unlike Katie and unlike WestJet, if that's the way they work around, Dnata itself already pre-initiates how you want to be put across, whether it's majoritively at the counters or whether it's at gates or whether it's at arrivals, or even when it comes to training new individuals. And for me, fortunately enough, it was all about training new individuals and doing gate operations. Not to be said, I do love check-in. My heart's always at check-in. You get to meet lovely people, a few not so lovely people at the same time, but that's what trains you for the rest of the day, if I'd be honest for you. It sets your day, and that's how I basically got into this. With everything, a little more paperwork, if I'd be honest, because being an international student, paperwork takes a little longer to come across. But the folks at Dnata were really, really accommodative of everything. And let me be honest, at the time, as I mentioned, I came back into school, and every single professor out here has played a very, very major role in making sure that I was comfortable doing whatever I was doing, whether it came to college or work. And fortunately enough, it never affected my grades. And that was something that I was really happy to stand by.
Yes, it is. I remember Ashely going through the whole process, and he would just, and I don't think you ever ended up submitting anything late, but he would say, if I have to go into my shift, can I have an extra day? And of course, we're flexible that way. When you're working at an airline, we want you to get in with the airline. So yeah, we will definitely be flexible and help you through the process as much as we can. Okay, Prince. So can you walk us through your journey?
Yeah, for sure. So summer this year, I was kind of looking at it through the LinkedIn website, and then I saw a posting for Porter. I applied, and then during that time, I was also in the summer term. So the interview was right after my class. I forgot which one. I think it's Amadeus for second semester. And then they saw me in my uniform, Seneca College. And then the hiring manager was like, "Oh, you're studying." And I really thought that she's not gonna take me because I'm the only student. But then that sets me aside because I told her that we have the Amadeus Altea program for Seneca College. And then she was shocked that Seneca provided that for students and that we use that in the airport. So I think that's the reason why she hired me. And then that also I know ground operations, that like this program and a lot more in the aviation field. So we also had 3 weeks of training. It's like a whole month, 2 weeks of online, and then 1 week of in person. After that, unfortunately, we don't have a choice. Either we want to stay in the gate or at the check-in. We do both. Like right now, I have 3 flights later on. So, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. I love it when it's always on time. I just love gates more than check-in, to be honest, because it's just more like fast-paced. You will be meeting a lot of people. You'll be doing a lot more stuff, and it's just fun to work with flight attendants as well.
Amazing. Thank you. I didn't know all that, so I'm glad to hear. Just want to unpack a couple things. So Katie and Ashely both, okay, so Katie was hired at WestJet for her placement. So on that Seneca Flights site, there is a placement information area, so you can check that out. There's also, I know you're only in first semester, but you're probably starting to think about this. There's a whole bundle of information that you can read there. So Katie applied to one of the postings that is posted on the Seneca Flights site. We used to be partners with WestJet. We are not anymore. However, we are partner airlines with Air Transat and Cathay Pacific. So those postings are active right now for students that are in their 3rd semester going into 4th. So Katie applied, got hired for the placement, and then she got hired as a permanent employee. She did not have to interview again, which is awesome. Ashely found the job first through the Seneca job board, which is a little bit different than the job postings for placement. So he found you can do that as well. You can find your own position as long as it's customer service related and use it as your placement. So he was he was thrilled to be able to get that credit in the 4th semester. I think you might have done it in your 3rd semester, right? You did a bit early. Yeah. And Prince, he's in 3rd semester. So next semester, he will register for FSO125 and use his porter position as his placement. So I know that might sound super overwhelming, but I just wanted to kind of give you information and where to look for resources about placement, because a lot of the students that we have as guest speakers did use the position as placement or found it, got hired after placement. So it's really a good opportunity. And a couple other things, WestJet and Porter, they hire their own people, whereas Ashely is at GTA Dnata. So this is a third party that hires for Emirates and Air Transat. So that's why he says GTA Dnata, which is actually a contract position, correct, Ashely? And that is for Air Transat and Emirates. But they pay well, and like everything is pretty much the same, right? You get travel benefits. Okay, you get travel benefits. Okay, perfect. Before we jump into travel benefits, because I do want to talk about that, we talked a bit about, working at check-in versus working at gates. And I can also affirm that that is true. Working at check-in counter is good, and it's usually where a PSA starts. However, going to the gates, working the gates, doing the boarding, all that stuff is way more fun. Yes. So both positions are great, but usually you would be promoted after you get your restricted area card to the gate area. And I know the feeling. When I was a CSA, CSA is the customer service agent. That's the terminology we use at WestJet. When I was a CSA, I used to get so excited to work the gates. So that is a little background about working at the gates. So that's awesome. Do you guys want to just talk about what shifts you're typically working? Because I know some students get shocked when like shifts start at 3 a.m. So would you like to, Katie, start with, like, are you working Christmas? What are your shifts normally? Can you give us a little overview?
So the way our schedules work are slightly similar to the way flight attendants bid for their schedules. So I don't know, I don't think it was 1st semester that we do this course where you actually have to do your bidding assignment.
Yeah.
However, it is 1st semester?
It's FSO110.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Yeah. It's all a blur.
You will soon. Yeah. So basically we bid for our schedules. So we have a seniority number, which is based on when we were hired. So unfortunately, WestJet had a huge hiring spree when I was hired and then haven't really had much since. So my seniority is quite low. So you really have to pay attention to what you're bidding for. So my seniority is 92 out of about 150, I believe we have CSAs. So it's a challenge, especially for these Christmas schedules. We recently just got unionized as well. So our averaging period used to be a 6-week schedule. So you'd bid for your schedule, you'd have it for 6 weeks, and then you'd do it again all over again. However, when we got unionized, our schedule changed to 8 weeks, which is fantastic. So you know your schedule 8 weeks in advance, and which really helps for planning. If you want to plan a vacation or if you want to plan like a family event or something, it's so useful to know your schedule that far in advance. And then you also have to work your minimum required hours. So we have ours is 20 hours a week, so it works out to 160 hours for the 8-week schedule. But our averaging period was just lengthened to 24 weeks. So we have to just make sure that we maintain the minimum number of hours over a 24-week period, and our schedules come out in 8-week blocks, if that makes sense. So as of right now, I've been, since I've been hired, I've been working the morning shift. So I've done anywhere from a 4 a.m. start time to an 8 a.m. start time. Typically, my shifts are about 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. or 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. So because we just got unionized, they've really focused on making sure that our part-time CSAs are not working more than a part-time worker should work. So they used to schedule part-time CSAs full-time hours, which was not acceptable because we have separate full-time agents. So really those full-time agents should be working the full-time hours and the part-time agents should be working part-time hours. So my shifts are typically about 5 hours long, and you can get a lot jam-packed into those 5 hours. I know I've done back-to-back flights or arrivals, or you're at check-in, and they try to switch it up so that you're not doing the same thing over and over again, or so that you're not running in between gates. Because Pearson Airport is quite a large airport. So if you have a gate somewhere like B5 and then you have to run to C33, it can be like a good 10 to 15-minute walk, depending on how fast you walk. So they're really flexible, making sure that you don't run in between gates, and they make sure that everybody has a chance to do flights, because it's not really quite fair to have one CSA stuck at check-in all day versus another CSA who's really on the go the entire shift. So they try to switch it up so that it's pretty fair. But yeah, so I basically work around 5-hour shifts. And this schedule for Christmas, I tried to really make sure that I got Christmas and New Year's off, because I would still like to enjoy it with my family. So this was a bit tougher because of the lower seniority. However, I decided to switch to afternoon shifts. So we also have a 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., which is what I got. And then because of the union, we've also had more of a set schedule. So previously it used to be about like 3 days on, 2 days off, or you would work and then have a day off and then work a couple more days and then have another day off. But with the new union, we've recently had like set schedules, as in like Thursday to Sunday, which is what mine is. So Christmas is on Monday and New Year's Day is on Monday. So I do have those 2 days off.
Oh, look at you being very smart about schedule bidding. I love it. Okay, great. So a variety of different shifts, regulated by the union, lots of changes since the union started, but sounds like very positive changes. So great. Other than if you wanted to pick up shifts.
Yeah, it is getting a little bit harder to pick up shifts because a lot of people are only getting the set number of hours. So a lot of people are only getting lines with 160 hours. So if you want to pick up shifts, it's more like you'd have to swap shifts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. That was a great overview. Ashely, can you walk us through like your shifts, like what your shifts you're working? Do you bid for it? How does it work at GTA Dnata?
So as Ms. Jennifer mentioned earlier, GD Dnata is a service provider effectively to an airline, and the airline chooses what departments they would like serviced by an outside or a third-party company. Typical services are passenger services, ground operations, ground services itself, and catering. And GT Dnata normally work on 2 of these, which is ground and ground operations. That's everything on the ground that you see on the ramp, and passenger services. Myself being on the passenger service side, the one downside, Katie is lovely. She's gone very well and into detail into mentioning how well WestJet works, because it's a new union directly working firsthand onto their own schedules. That's the one thing we'll miss out on. So please don't be shocked when I say I start my days at 2 a.m. in the morning. And that is something which is very common, especially because Air Transat is a leisure carrier. I'm pretty sure you'd be delving very well into different types of airlines and how they run. And Air Transat being a leisure carrier, their priority is getting their folks, or getting their guests, as we call them, early in the morning over there to a destination that they have a whole day. They're not wasting a day. So we have flights departing as early as 6 a.m. And if you think about a 4-hour check-in period, that you start days at 2:30. And that's something which I really like, if I'll be honest. Right from the time I was hired, that's almost a year ago, I've been in the early morning shifts. And as a personal preference, it gives me a whole day after my day at work. So I'm pretty happy with the way it goes. Once Emirates came along, it worked out even better, because Emirates' departure prior to daylight savings was 2:30. So it had me starting off my days anytime around 10:30 or 10:45. So if I'll give you an honest one, I start, let's say, a Transat shift from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. I can nicely have an hour's break, which is totally on my own control. I can do what I'd like, maybe take a nap, have some breakfast, get something over from home, and then start my Emirates shift. It has condensed down a little bit, I'll be honest, ever since daylight savings has rolled in. So the 1 hour period is now moved to a half an hour period. So the same 5 to 9 shift, because Emirates has moved to a 1:55 departure time. So that's a 13:55 for all you have geeks out there. We've lost half an hour of our breaks. So that's okay, because at the same time, both the teams, as long as it's remained within Dnata's control, is understanding of each other. So even though now we are working with different schedulers, one from Transat, one from Emirates, we do have one common representative who takes care of the breaks, the time everyone has in between them, and more importantly, scheduling us, because it can get a bit hectic when it comes to making everyone happy. And in this industry, be it in any field, any position, we have to accept one thing, that you cannot make every person happy, whether it's a passenger, whether it's a guest, whether it's an agent, whether it's anyone, even in the upper levels. So when it comes to scheduling, it's all about finding a good balance in the middle. And fortunately enough, because we do not fall directly as a part-time or a full-time employee, you can get ours pretty much on par with full-time employees, what normally you would have as a full-time employee in Canada. So pretty much for myself, I've been doing 80 hours without a question. Fortunately enough, being an international student, aided by the rules at the time, which I believe is going to be revised a little soon. But don't take it as a disadvantage. Trust me, folks, 20 hours is still good enough. At the end of the day, it's all about getting your feet in the industry. And when I started off, that was what I was limited to. And that's what I started off with. So you never know down the line, once you graduate, once things fall in place. And this is, of course, only down to the international students. Life will become much easier. And remember, you are getting every single thing that Seneca equips you with. And let me be honest, they really equip you well. So take it as a blessing, if I'll be honest.
Amazing. Thank you. And Prince, can you walk us through your schedule, like, or the times that your schedule? How do you bid? Do you get to bid?
Yeah, for sure. So it's the same with Katie as well. We also bid for our schedule. We have it for 2 months, and right now we just bid for November to December, and then they extended till January. So we have it for 3 months. When I first started, it wasn't easy because in my class, I was the third at the bottom. So I have no choice but to take the 6 a.m. shifts. And it's not easy to wake up early. I'm still a student and a teenager, basically. I love to sleep, but you really have to be responsible. 6 a.m. shift, you'll get used to it. The seniority will go up fast as long as you just be positive. Right now, I'm in the middle now, so I choose my schedule very good. My original schedule is from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., but I also take some shifts. Today, I will be working from 4 p.m. to 11:30. And then tomorrow, I'll be working from 12:30 to, I think, 11:30 p.m. So 12:30 in the afternoon to 11:30 p.m. So that's like a 10-hour shift. For international students in my airline, they have a 20-hour mark as well, and then 40 hours in 2 weeks. So during the bidding, I remember a friend, she basically asked the manager about her situation, and then they cut her hours off just to for her to stay, because I don't think it's allowed for international students to extend. So she could not extend after 20-hour. But yeah, Porter is very flexible when it comes to those situations. They will definitely make way for you if you are international student, and just like any other airline as well. Along with some biddings for vacation as well. I recently just bid for my vacation. We have 2 weeks vacation every year, and then we use that for flights. We have flight benefits. That's basically it.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, sorry, that's basically it. That's how much.
Okay, amazing. That sounds really good. We have quite a few students now or former students at Porter, and they love it. So not only do you get to wear a beautiful uniform, but they're treating their employees very well, which is just like WestJet. Have to plug that there. And Ashely, I know, is very happy. So it is important to choose an airline that you are happy with and you're treated well, that has a great culture. Just wanted to back up a bit. There was a question in the chat about applying to airlines. And just for our students, because you are first semester students, most of you, in your second semester, you will be enrolling in your second semester soon. And there is a course that is dedicated to resume making, interview skills, how to apply, all that stuff. So don't worry, we will take care of that with you. So that is FSO125. I was curious if our speakers are language qualified. So do you have a second language? Were you hired unilingual? What's the deal? So I'll start with Katie.
Unfortunately, I am not bilingual or unilingual. I speak conversational French, and I did actually study Italian at Seneca College as one of my gen ed courses, the general education. That was very insightful, and that was a great course if anybody is looking for gen eds to take. I would highly recommend Italian. It really opens your eyes into Italian because it is a beginner course, and it definitely made me want to practice the language more. Unfortunately, I haven't kept up with that. It isn't a requirement to be bilingual or unilingual for most airlines. However, it definitely is a huge leg up. I have quite a few friends that work for WestJet that speak Spanish. Spanish is a huge benefit for most airlines because of our southern destinations. So I know Air Transat for sure, Sunwing, WestJet, a lot of our destinations are to Mexico or to other Spanish-speaking destinations, and majority of the guests on our flights are going back home and they only speak Spanish. So it isn't a requirement, but it is a huge bonus if you speak another language.
I'm actually even married.
Amazing. Okay, good. Ashely?
Similar to Katie and WestJet, the way they work, it's not a requirement at GT Dnata, but it really helps when it comes to working with different airlines and their cultures. So for example, with Emirates, I do not speak Arabic. Of course, I do speak English. So very fluent with that to get into this job for the first place. But yes, I do not speak Arabic, but at the same time, a bit of conversational Arabic because I fortunately was brought up in Dubai for a good period of my life. So a bit of preschooling helped out in that. But when it came to moving back to India, so myself being an Indian, on passport at least, I was happy enough to learn a few regional languages, and that really comes in handy. So a few regional languages, if you have any of our Indians around, you would know. So Hindi, Marathi, Konkani, and even a little bit of Gujarati. That does help around when it comes to different crowds, especially when it comes to Emirates, because Emirates does not only cater to individuals flying to Dubai. They work on a hub and spoke network where you get everyone into Dubai and then fly them out into one of our 250 destinations. And that can be anywhere across the globe, minus Antarctica and Arctic. So it really helps when you know languages. It is not a must, but at the same time, it will really make your life and the passenger's life a lot easier when it comes to talking things, especially when there is a bit of miscommunication, which is big when it comes to these when it comes to an operation on a daily basis.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. And Prince?
No, we don't have requirements for language as well. However, it's an asset for me because I speak Filipino. It's my first language, Tagalog, and then I also speak English, of course. And yeah, it was just, I think French is an asset, like a very big asset here in Canada. So if you speak French, that's a very good thing. Apply for different airlines, especially for customer service representative, because there's a lot of French speakers who flies at the airport. So it really helps. It really helps a lot.
Okay, amazing. Just wanted to quickly answer a question in the chat. We have Katie was speaking about Italian as a gen ed, which is general education. If you guys are in the FSO program, which is 2 years, in your 3rd and 4th semester, you will start taking gen eds, which are awesome because Seneca has a whole wide range of different topics you can take. Just some of them do fill up, so make sure you do your enrollment early if possible or on the day of enrollment. Yes, I just wanted to mention that seniority, we talked a lot about seniority so far. So seniority is basically when you're hired. So if you were hired and people were hired after, you'll get the better schedules. This goes as a PSA and also as a flight attendant. Seniority holds a lot for the airlines, the time you put in. We have also talked a little bit about unionized airlines and non-unionized. So Prince, is Porter a unionized airline, the ground agents?
Yes, both
Okay.
flight and then grounds.
Amazing. Okay. So usually when there's a union, unions have benefits and downfalls, but one of the benefits is the scheduling and protecting the workers. So yeah, I won't get too much into the whole union talk, but that's just a little FYI. Okay. I kind of want to know, and I'm sure a lot of students are curious, did you want to be a flight attendant, and did you take this position maybe to learn more about the industry? Like, what was your motivation to apply to a ground position when you are in a flight attendant program? So can we start with Katie?
Of course, when I applied to Seneca College, the absolute dream goal was, of course, to be a flight attendant. The more I studied at college, the more I learned about all the different roles that you can have in aviation. So whether that be in the airport as a customer service agent, or even as a trainer, or somewhere in our hub. So we have in our hub, we have our zone managers, DDC, which is our daily duties coordinators. So they task each CSA's line. We also have our IROP coordinators, and then our duty hub manager. So there are lots of different roles in aviation. It does not just have to be in the plane in the skies. So when I first started, I wanted to be a flight attendant. I learned about this career placement opportunity with WestJet on the ground and immediately jumped on it because I knew this was going to be my in with WestJet. So when I was studying, WestJet was always my dream airline to work for. So I'm beyond thrilled that I am working for them today. When I first got accepted, it was definitely one of the happiest days of my life working for a dream airline. And then once you get in with your airline, it is very easy to move up or to learn about new opportunities. We recently had a posting for a daily duties coordinator relief position and a GSL relief position. So with the relief positions, you can still work as a CSA, and then when needed, you would be doing the separate tasks. So a GSL is a guest service lead. So they're basically the shift leads on the floor. And then we also have our GSMs, our guest service managers. So they manage the floor as well. So there are tons of opportunities in the airport. So although I know you may all be focused on being flight attendants at the moment, I think it's really important for you to understand each position in aviation and where you feel you would be a best fit. Because I know I was dead set on being a flight attendant, and now that I've worked in the airport, I love all the experience that I've learned, all the knowledge that I've learned about the ground operations, because it is actually super beneficial. So a lot of my coworkers also have started as CSAs and then moved up to be in flight as a flight attendant or to go to school to become a pilot. And having all of this knowledge of what goes on in the background for boarding these flights, or even learning about different destination requirements, because there's a lot of knowledge that goes into being a customer service agent. You do have to have a lot of knowledge about the destinations that your airline flies, and understanding what's required of a flight attendant or a pilot before the plane takes off, and what goes on at the airport before a plane takes off. So although you may be set on being a flight attendant, I would highly recommend having a job in the airport to understand the whole operation.
Amazing. Yes, you you nailed it there. There are so many different jobs you can do in aviation that you can branch off to do. And I know myself, I was dead set being a flight attendant. Once I started working on the ground, I did not want to leave. I did eventually leave because the schedule is a teeny bit better. But yeah, it was a very hard decision. All right, Ashely, can you walk us through yours?
Oh, surely, actually, for me, very specifically, it goes down. Katie's actually, I'll be very honest with you, Katie's doing a lot of justice to all three of us guest speakers. She's gone and really explained everything out. So it leaves very little to say except the differences when it comes to this side. More importantly, I would be honest when it comes to how you go about things. For me, it was all about being a pilot from day one. As I mentioned, COVID allowed me to rethink things, and Seneca has been on my radar even when I was thinking of joining flight school as one of my flight school opportunities. Of course, with Sue being one of them even down the line. So it allowed me to start off as on the ground side of things, learn as a requirement as a flight attendant. But the most important thing that I'd see as a ground agent, as a PSA, is to understand and respect the life inside and outside the fuselage of an aircraft. And that is something a lot of PSAs and flight attendants have now learned to do. We've always started with something called CRM, or crew resource management, which is something I'm sure many of you would have been already or will be introduced to, is to respect the duties and responsibilities of everyone that makes an operation move at the airport and within the skies. So we've always had this a little bit of a hierarchy going, that we have pilots, then flight attendants, then CSAs or ground staff and ground personnel, which has now started to move around. It started to become a little more bleaker, which is a beautiful thing, because people have now learned to respect that there is no such division per se. And starting off as a PSA or a CSA really starts those things. Like tomorrow, when you go into the aircraft, when you start off on the ground and now you're a flight attendant, you know what those folks are doing out there to close doors on time, to get every single passenger in the aircraft. More importantly, to get documents checked. And for the most part of it, how they start off their passengers. Remember, the first thing a passenger walks into an airport, they're seeing either a kiosk or a PSA. And that's what starts off their day many a times. It can start beautifully, it can start horribly. And that is a make or break experience which can start off. And that's what's moved on to the flight attendants. So it takes a lot of, let's say, trust from the flight attendants, which is at the back of the mind. Obviously, that's not one of their things that they're thinking. They're there for your safety and comfort at the end of the day. But they do know, and they do trust the fact that an individual has started their day off in the hands of a PSA, and that's gone well. That's how they will continue the baton from, and that's how they will release a particular guest per se. So it's really important, I would say, to start off on the ground. It gives you a lot of insight into how life goes inside and outside a plane's fuselage. And down the line, when you maybe start flying as a pilot, when you want to get into that, or when you start flying as a flight attendant, you will look back and respect this job at the end of the day. And not just respect, know everything that goes into making a flight push back on time. Because remember, as a flight attendant, you only start actually earning the minute chalks are off and you start rolling. And as a PSA for us, because we are not unionized, unfortunately, everything happens till we start pushing the aircraft back. So we have that constant front and back when it comes to, let's close doors, let's get this plane moving. So that's basically something you'll really like. And trust me, it'll be really invaluable to each and every one of you down the line if you get this experience on the ground, be it in any position, be it on the ground or as a PSA.
Thank you, Ashely. That's great. So much great information from all of you so far. Prince, do you want to share were you trying to be a flight attendant? What happened?
Yes. So as a matter of fact, my manager also know that I want to move in flight from the beginning. And so I'm just finishing up this bidding until the end of January, and then she's going to transfer me to in-flight. That excites me, of course. That's what I want to do. However, it also makes me sad because ground operations, you guys, it's something that you don't want to miss. I agree with both Katie and Ashely that ground operations, it's a vital and essential thing with working in an airline, because you'll get to know a lot of stuff from check-in, departure, arrivals. You'll get to meet a lot of people, to different types of passengers, and that will equip you to be, how to handle them when you want to be in flight or some other stuff that you want to do in life. And to be honest, ground operation molds me a lot to be a better person. It shapes me to be to have a good attitude, and also it creates a sense of me being responsible on my on-time performance. Just by arriving there on time, it's very important if you want to become a flight attendant or even in the ground operations. It shapes me. You really have to take it seriously, because it starts from ground operation, it goes up.
So true. And I know, when I started as ground operations, I wanted that flight attendant interview. It's one way to get in. So you start on the ground, because there's always so many more ground position jobs than there is flight attendant jobs. You get in the ground, and then you're I won't say guaranteed. You still have to have good performance as a PSA, but you could get an interview that way, an internal interview instead of external. So instead of, on our last WestJet flight time posting, we had 1,000 applicants. But if you're already in the airline, you know, you can get an internal application. So it's definitely a great way. And I know Claire, Lisa, Ron, and Ava will all agree that the best flight attendants also have ground operation experience. You know the entire operation, you know what's going on, why PSAs feel pressured when there's delays and stuff like that. It can be a lot. I just want to kind of unpack something else. Katie was talking, and Ashely was talking about the pilot programs that they're interested in. And Katie is going to be starting that journey soon. And we do get quite a few students that start in our program, become flight attendants, and then want to be pilots after. Definitely not something I would want to do because I'm married to a pilot, but other people definitely do want to become pilots. And because there is a bit of a pilot shortage right now, you as a airport agent like Katie working at WestJet, you know, she's definitely going to get an interview with WestJet one day once she meets the requirements. I shouldn't say definitely, but more than likely because she's already in the company. In fact, as flight attendants at WestJet, you are guaranteed an interview if you meet the requirements to be a pilot. So people are often doing their hours on the side. So you can, you know, start off as a flight attendant and then, you know, start flying the plane after several years. So it is a way to become a pilot. It is a way to become a flight attendant as well. Or you might fall in love with the ground operation like so many of my students have in the past and decide that you're happy doing the ground operations part of it. Okay, so we have, we're going to start a question and answer session soon, but I thought I would just talk to the speakers about travel benefits. So can you give us like a kind of overview of the travel benefits and then can let us know where you have traveled with the benefits?
Travel benefits are obviously one of the biggest perks about working for an airline. I know it's probably one of your top reasons for wanting to work in flight. WestJet offers amazing flight benefits. So as an employee, you get one companion that you can change twice a year. So your companion has the exact same benefits that you do, which is basically all you pay for are the airport fees and taxes. So you don't have a base fare. So for example, I've recently just flew to Vegas. Flying to the States is amazing because when you fly to the States, to Toronto Pearson's airport fees are about $75. And then any airport in the States has no taxes or fees. So flying home is free. So I just flew to Vegas and back for $75. I've gone to Vegas twice now. I've been to LA. I've been to England twice now because I have my entire family lives there. Flying to England is a bit more expensive. London definitely has one of the most expensive airport fees. So that was about $200 round trip. However, that is basically nothing. And then because my entire family lives there, I also get free accommodation. So England is a very easy destination for me to travel to. So if anybody has family abroad with these travel benefits, it just makes it so easy to see family. I've been to Newfoundland. I've been to Vancouver a couple of times. Where else? Oh, and I recently went to Cuba on my birthday. So not only do you get travel benefits, but there are quite a few other benefits that you get working for airlines. WestJet for sure, you get hotel and transportation. So as in like car rentals and things like that. WestJet also offers WestJet Vacation. So with our WestJet Vacation packages, we do get discounts on those as well. So there are definitely a ton of travel benefits. They make travel super easy for you. The only thing that you have to worry about is the load factor of the flights because these travel benefits, although they are very cheap, you are flying standby. I've definitely been stuck a couple times in destinations that I don't want to be stuck in, such as connections. I did one time have to sleep in the Calgary airport. So you want to make sure that when you're picking these flights, there's space for you to fly. I also recently flew Porter Airlines. So not only do we get discounts on our airlines, but we also get our interline benefits. By the way, Porter is amazing, Prince. I love Porter. I had a great time on that flight. You get the free Wi-Fi, and it's no middle seats, and then also free alcohol. And they have great snacks as well. So I would highly recommend Porter actually to fly if anyone's looking for a trip. So you get interline benefits. So there are lots of airlines that WestJet has deals with. So you get deals on your own airline, and you also get deals with other airlines.
My goodness, I didn't realize how many places you've gone in the last year. That's amazing. Thanks for that overview, Katie. Ashely, can you give us an overview of your travel benefits and where you've been?
Surely, thank you. And there comes the advantage of having multiple airlines that you work for, and especially when it comes to an organization as a third party. You're not just locked into one airline and the benefits they provide may not be as comprehensive, let me be honest, as say if you're working for WestJet, so you get everything like interline agreements or maybe confirmed tickets. So I wasn't aware that WestJet does not give confirmed tickets. That's where Transat comes a little bit in. They do something called as family and friends. So that's everyone working directly within the Transat family, be it at all different stations. So that's ground, hotels, accommodations, and everything. And that also includes 2 family members plus one beneficiary, effectively, as they call it. And you can change them as many times as you want. One. Secondly, it is all standby. It is all ID90 tickets, which means you're only paying taxes at the end of the day. And yes, you're working with load factors, but that means you can take anyone with you anytime as long as you're flying and you're professionally dressed. That's it, anywhere across the network. Same thing comes to if you want to have a friend traveling with you, as long as you're traveling with your friend, it's good enough. For the beneficiary or the parents, they can fly on their own across the network as long as there's space available. And when it comes to agreements with different airlines, now fortunately with me working with Emirates and Air Transat being our primary let's say travel beneficiary effectively. So we always get our benefits put down on paper when it comes to our contracts with Air Transat, most recently with Porter. And Prince, you are a really lucky individual. I'll be very honest with you. I think Katie also, as she mentioned, we won't be disloyal to our airlines, but Porter is just on another level. Let's be honest when it comes to that. So I've just recently made a trip to Montreal and back from YTZ. Was an amazing experience to say the least. And I'm really looking forward to make another round soon in F1 season next year, because oh boy, was it an amazing travel. I'll be honest, because funny enough, yesterday, so we had a VIP traveling with us. So if anyone follows me on Instagram, I had the opportunity of flying with, actually had one of our team principals for F1 flew with us from Vegas into Toronto and to Dubai because of the upcoming race. And fortunately enough, I don't know how this worked about, but I did get tickets to the next Montreal race somehow. So yeah, that just worked out yesterday. So that's something, and I already like put it down to my friends at Porter. So Prince, if I look out for you going down the line, please, I don't know. But honestly speaking, I mean, we do get better travel benefits with our airlines we're working with. Same thing with Emirates. As the only thing with Emirates is they're very locked down when it comes to their benefits, not only just for third-party staff, but also for their very staff. They just get one confirmed ticket, be it as a flight attendant, as a pilot, or as a passenger service agent. So it's just one confirmed ticket with your entire family. But the good news is get a base fare economy and you can be upgraded without question. Without paying a dime. So that's the honest thing. It's not in black and white. I'll be very honest with you. That's one thing. So I know it's a recorded session. Don't quote me on it down the line. But definitely, when you're working with the airline, you do get benefits which help you going down. It's not just on what's on paper, black and white. It's all about at the end of the day of making your experience, because you are giving a lot to the airline. Let me be honest with you. You're giving a lot of your time, your effort, and everything that goes about it. Aviation's not one of those fields where you can just wake up from your sleep, be happy, go jolly, go to work, come back, and you're like on to the next day. It can take a lot out of you, and the airlines do respect that. I'll be very honest with you. So for us as employees of GTA Dnata, primarily we sit with Air Transat and Porter more recently. But yes, with the airlines we do work with, it's not about connections, but it's all about them respecting you working with them. So the individuals out there, the airline representatives do help you out if that's the case. So I've made a point with Air Transat to do every single destination this in the mornings that I've done, as long as an Indian passport and a Canadian visa can allow me. So I've done Cancun, I've done Puerto Vallarta, I've done Puerto Plata, I've done Punta Cana, and those are all the flights I've been working with primarily. So I've done those little trips for the weekends and made it back. So I cannot call it as a trip holiday, but the main thing for me is getting into an aircraft, flying and coming back, and I've done that. So that's my bit complete, to be honest.
I love that you can go to Punta Cana for a weekend. It's
Yeah.
fun. Great, thank you. And yes, I didn't realize you're such an F1 fan. I now know. And you must have been shocked yesterday. But yeah, it's pretty neat to see how many famous people you do see at the airport. Prince, do you want to talk about your travel benefits?
Yes. So before I start, I remember you, Miss Jennifer, telling us during our first semester that you really have to choose your airline well. And I would say I think I chose the good airline, because so we're entitled to put 3 travel companions. So that's my mom, my dad, and my little sister. And then we're also allowed to fly 2 travel buddies. So those are my friends. And then every year we get confirmed tickets, 4 confirmed tickets to any interline that we have. And the amount of interline that we have, it's 2 pages long. So I can fly with WestJet, Air Transat, Emirates, Korean Air, Cathay Pacific. There's a lot. And I'm just so happy that I get to like fly for free. Well, I pay for tax because we live in Canada. And that's true. If you fly from the US going back to Canada, you're not going to be paying for anything. But if you fly from Canada to the US, it's a little too much. But
Yeah.
I'm happy that I get to experience everything that I have right now. I've been flying a lot recently and I've been using it so much. I remember I've done a shift of 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then there's a flight that I saw to go to Montreal at 10:20. I book it right away and then fly with my uniform on. That's how good flying, working in an airline industry is. You can just fly if you want to, go eat in New York for lunch and go back afterwards if you want. It's just so fun. So yeah, I think I chose the good airline so far.
I totally agree. You have. Great. Yes, I remember when I was a CSA, I used to bring my suitcase with me and just get on a plane at the end of my shift. And this was when I was in my early 20s. So my sister was my travel companion, and I told her she could fly for free if she paid for the hotels. So I had someone to pay for the hotels. I'm like, yeah, sure, you can come. You have to pay. So find someone to pay for the hotels. Okay, guys, so we're at the 11:08 mark. We went a little bit over. There's just so much we can talk about in these sessions, and I missed a whole bunch of questions, but that's okay. But I thought I would start the question and answer session by asking Claire, Lisa, Ron, or Ava if you have any questions for the panel first. Claire?
I guess we'll start with with the panel. I'm just curious if they have had to work with a passenger with a disability, and if they can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, go ahead, Ashely.
Yes, and that's coming straight from me, learning directly from Miss Claire. Not every disability is obvious. You cannot see everything. So it's all about asking, and you can never go and ask a person, oh, you cannot see, or you cannot hear. You can never do that. Your best 3 words, or 4 words in this case, is how can I help you? That's more than enough. And that's something I've learned from semester 1 with Miss Claire. It's 5. Okay, 5. My bad. So, okay, can't be bad on math, I'll be honest with you. But how can I help you goes a long way. Trust me. You cannot, especially being in Canada, everyone can have a different way of the way you would speak. So they perceive things differently. And it's all about respecting an individual. And fortunately, at Transat and Emirates, we do have separate counters only for individuals who need additional assistance. We wouldn't call them disabled. I'll be very honest with you. And nobody in Canada generally goes about calling a person disabled or handicapped. That's ways of, let's say, marginalizing a person. Let's call them with little more additional help, more than enough. That's how our culture goes about it. So we do have separate dedicated counters for such individuals, same as at the gate. We do give priority at all times. And it's all about respecting the way they want to be helped. Every airline I know has its own SOP as to how certain individuals with certain requests have to be helped. But maybe, let's say, I'm not comfortable in being lifted to my seat. I might not be comfortable with an individual touching me or being really close to my ear. if I don't have the best of auditory senses. So it's all about asking and going about and catering to the needs of the individual or the guests more specifically. So fortunately, I have had my share of very good experiences and even learning experiences. Remember, you never stop learning in this field. And being a little bit of background, because mom being trained and certified to helping blind individuals, it came a lot way that I've taken that over, and I'm also helping individuals with visual impairments, not just completely, but also partially, because that's one thing, even when it comes to individuals who are visually impaired, it doesn't mean that they just can't see anything. It may be like, if, for example, for any one of us who have specs or we use corrective lenses, take off your glasses and you can know how difficult life can be. So that's how it even starts. So it's all about asking. I'll repeat it a million times. It's all about asking and making that individual comfortable. That's your goal.
Thank you, Ashely.
Yes, thank you for taking that question on. Any others, Claire?
I'll let somebody else have the floor.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just wondering if I could add on to
Oh,
helping.
for sure. Yeah, yeah.
It's definitely not a rare occurrence. Majority of the flight, actually, it's quite rare to have a flight at the gate where you don't have a guest that does require special assistance, whether that just be a wheelchair or just somebody to help walk them down the bridge into the aircraft. Just as Ashely said, it's the key to helping a guest with a disability is just by talking to them and understanding their specific needs, because one person's need will not be the same as the other person's. So you just want to talk to them, understand what they need from you, how you can help them. That's all you have to do. WestJet also just has an amazing partnership with Make-A-Wish. So I have actually helped 2 Make-A-Wish families so far with my time at WestJet. I will say it's very rewarding to be able to help these families. Even all you really have to do is help guide them through the airport. So if they're coming in from an arrival flight, you're helping them through to your next gate. So I had a guest coming inbound from Alberta, and they were flying off to Orlando, and I just had to greet them off the plane, help them find their way to customs and security, greet them on the outside of customs, and then assist them to their next gate. And even small gestures such as that to make sure that they don't get lost in the airport. As I said, Pearson is a massive airport and it is very confusing to navigate. They're very appreciative of just having you there with them and the time spent to make sure that they're getting where they need to be.
Thank you, Katie.
Great. Ron, Eva, Lisa, Ron, go ahead.
I was wondering if you could tell me about a challenging situation you might have experienced as a PSA and how that all turned out for you.
Who wants to take this one on?
I'll just make a comment. I think the challenge is always there when it's a PSA. Let's be honest, it's not the most easiest. So comment, that's just a comment, but if anyone wants to take it, so I can maybe fill on to it later.
Sorry, Ron, do you mind repeating that? I just couldn't quite hear that question.
Oh, sorry. Just wondering, what is a challenging situation you've encountered being a PSA?
Oh, there are a lot of challenges as a customer service agent. Biggest one would definitely be irregular operations, or we call them IROPs at WestJet. The worst possible IROP is definitely weather, because when it is weather, it's uncontrollable. So weather delays or weather cancellations are very hard to navigate because it is uncontrollable. It is outside of the airline's control. We don't offer hotel vouchers. And unfortunately, some people do get stuck in Toronto. They may not be from Toronto, and now they're stuck here without any accommodation. So having to help these guests get to their next destination can definitely be quite challenging, especially when it is peak season, because all of your flights are sold out. So helping these guests is definitely a huge challenge. You just have to have patience, and you need to understand that these guests are not mad at you specifically, they're mad at the situation. So it is very important to have a thick skin at the airport sometimes. Don't take anything anybody says to you personally, because they will say some nasty things to you, but they don't mean it. They're just frustrated at the situation.
Yes, yeah, very true. I saw Katie, it was like a year ago, but she just got blasted by a guest right before I saw her. And it
There
was
was
just,
there was a huge weather delay at Pearson last year when we had a huge fog hit the city and there were no planes taking off. And our counter was right in front of a window and I had somebody yelling at me, asking me why we couldn't take off. And I politely asked her to look outside and see if she can see a runway because you can't.
yes, it's definitely part of the job. Thanks, guys. Okay, let's save the next 15 minutes for student questions. So do we have any questions? Any comments? What are you interested in? Did something resonate with you during the session and you'd like more details maybe? I kind of want to ask our panelists before we get a question, how much your hourly wage is? If you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to answer, but if you do, can you share your hourly wage?
I don't mind sharing. So before we got unionized, starting off, our wage was just about minimum wage. After we got unionized, they did fight for a higher pay for
Yeah.
CSAs because it is definitely a challenging job and it's not for everybody. And there's intensive training that you have to go through.
Yeah.
You may not need a degree from college or a certificate from college, but it is intensive training. So we recently just went up to starting wage of about, I think it's about $17 an hour. This was a bit above minimum wage, but unfortunately, minimum wage in Ontario has also just gone up to about $16.55. So we're not far above minimum wage, but you do get pay raises. So our first pay raise, I believe, is 9 months after your hire date, and then it goes by 1 year, and then every 6 months, I believe.
Okay, great. Ashely?
So there comes a little bad news. I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact figure because our contract does not allow us to do so. But a little hint. I did say that Seneca has the job posting on the website.
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah.
it's there. I'll be honest with you, it's there. But you
Okay.
cannot see it per se. It has gone up from what is on there. But if you want a reference, it's there. And trust me, you will be happy. They do take care. I'll say that.
Amazing. Okay. Prince?
Okay. So for us, starting it's 1850, and then after 3 months, which I am now, it will move up to 19. And then we also have performance pay that whenever we hit some certain targets, they give us money. So I recently just got it from them. I hope to get another one this December because I really want to go to New York. But yeah, that's basically it.
I love it. You work to travel. I know that feeling. Great. Okay. So we're all pretty close. But don't forget, and you have all mentioned this, being a PSA, it's all about the extras, the perks, the health benefits, the travel benefits, the bonuses, all that stuff. So it's not a great representation of the total compensation.
Can I just add one more thing, Jennifer? I just forgot to add.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay. So WestJet's CSA rate is slightly lower than most airlines, I would say. Not only CSA, but also flight attendant wage. WestJet's compensation for the lower wage than most other airlines is our savings plan. So WestJet has their own savings plan where you will put in a dollar amount. So it's up to 20% of your paycheck. And you can do this over a 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year term. And WestJet will match dollar for dollar what you put in. So you're basically doubling your savings.
Yes, and it is a great option. I've done a lot with that savings plan throughout my 20 years at WestJet, and I don't think I would be able to save money without it. So that's a good point, Katie. Okay, so from the chat, Brandon is asking transportation to the airlines. Do any of your airlines provide transportation to the airport? Okay, Prince?
They don't give us like shuttle bus or anything, but they definitely give us discounts for Go Bus. And yeah, just Go Bus.
Okay, awesome.
And sorry, Up Express as well.
And up, yeah. And parking, right?
Yes, that's what I have right now too.
Yeah,
It's
awesome.
all
So that's good. Katie?
Yeah, so working for Pearson Airport, so you actually do get benefits on top of your airline because we are working in the airport. We also get Toronto Pearson benefits. So they offer the discount on Up Express, which I think is what Prince was referring to, unless Porter also does it. And then WestJet also offers free parking. So if you're driving in, you get a free parking space in the Value Park garage, but there's no transportation.
Okay, great. Ashely?
Yeah, just adding on top of both what Prince and Katie have covered. So I can get the percentages in for Go and Up Express. You get about 40% as a Pearson employee, which is extended to all employees working with airlines.
Nice.
Additionally, with GD and Dnata, with the contract, you do get one parking spot in the Value Park garage, or as our lovely folks love to call it, Y count. And trust me, it's an amazing place, but super difficult to get parking during busy times.
it's
That's
busy
one.
all the time.
Yeah.
Give yourself time.
Oh, yeah. You need to save half an hour if you want to come there. I'll be very honest with you. Yes, as Dnata, one good thing about us is we do not provide direct transportation, but during IROPS, mind you, if we have a snowstorm going out there and the individual is committed to come there, we will get, they will arrange transportation. That's taken care of. So last year when we had 2 of our snowstorms, both the times I was asked in whether I want to call in sick. That means if I can have the whole day for myself, not bother about coming to work, would not be counted against a sick day off for me, or would not be counted against my wages or my performance. Or if I really want to make it to work, they will arrange the transportation and I can get there with no strings attached, whether I'm on time, whether I'm not on time, as long as I show up. So both the times I had Ubers, if I'll name a brand there, Ubers were arranged for myself. And I do stay about 25 minutes of a drive away from the airport, but both the times it took upwards of 2 hours. So I'll be honest with that. But it gets bad, but they do take care of it. So that's that.
Yeah, great. Yes, yeah, that goes for WestJet as well. If the roads are really bad, I've seen like agents got put up in hotels too at the airport if it's not safe enough to drive. So
Yeah, I was once offered a hotel, but unfortunately they offered it as a snowstorm hit, so I couldn't make it into Mississauga.
oh, yeah. Okay, so Carol is wondering, Katie, how was your initial training?
Initial training was it was very informative and it was easy. I'm not gonna lie. It was the instructor makes it very clear what you have to do. I will say though, it's a huge difference learning how to navigate. So WestJet uses Sabre as our check-in system. So navigating Sabre without being at the airport online, it was very confusing coming into work and having to use it with a guest. But if you're a fast learner, it's very easy to catch on quite quickly. The buttons are very easy as a layout, and WestJet has also recently adopted a new check-in system called Digital Workspace, which is even easier. It almost looks as though like an online like check-in as a guest would see, basically. So our Sabre system was quite old and a little harder to navigate.
Yeah.
Digital Workspace is a lot more user-friendly. So the training experience was very hands-on. They make it very clear and very easy for you to understand. If you're struggling, they're super welcoming with answering questions. So it's kind of like your college course. Everybody's eager to help you get to where you need to be.
Awesome. And okay, so yeah, we covered initial. Do you also get profit share? Can answer this for WestJet, but I'll let Katie.
We just introduced profit share again for this month since COVID. So the last time WestJet had profit share was in 2020, which was before I was there. So my coworkers have been talking about it a lot, and I never got to see the benefits. However, WestJet just announced that we have been making profit. So we are reintroducing profit share, and our team is so excited. We're actually having a mini celebration in our team room at the airport. And they're announcing what we will receive for profit share on November 24th.
So yeah, it's this Friday. We're all if you see a WestJetter, we're gonna have a smile on our face this week. Ashely, do you get a profit share?
Unfortunately, no. Being third party and even within the Dnata Emirates family, there is no profit share.
Okay, good to know. Prince, profit share?
Yes, I'm waiting for it for December.
Nice. Yeah, so just a little background, profit share, sometimes the airlines will give back to their employees through profit share. So if they make a certain amount of revenue, they'll give it back to the employees. So it's a bonus to have, you know, and it can range from like $20 to like $5,000. So we get that twice a year at WestJet. And Prince, I'm not, how many times a year do you get it at Porter?
I got it already, and then I'll be getting it again this December.
Okay.
It's money. It's a hotel money, I would say.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. Okay. So what question you have? Hi there. How long is the training duration to be a flight attendant? Oh, well, this is a ground operations. This is the ground operations course. However, the training for flight attendant can range from 5 weeks to 12. I will say, I think this CSA versus flight attendant training was pretty equal. It was regulated. It's hard. You have to pass certain exams and tests. You have to do drills. Katie's making it sound like it's easy, but maybe it's easy for you because you studied hard, but it is not easy. Sorry, it is not easy for everyone. You have to memorize your airport codes. You have to memorize the codes in the system. Like, it's a lot. So, and then you have to do on the job training as well. So it's very similar to the flight attendant training in difficulty. Okay. Questions? Being a PSA, what skill helps you the most in the job? Great question, Jenny. Katie, you want to start?
Sure. I think the most useful skill is to be able to connect with your guests, because at the end of the day, you want each and every guest that you encounter to have a fantastic experience. You want to have them walking away from you with a smile. It's wonderful when you're able to check in a guest at check-in and then also work their flight and see them later on. I've had that happen quite a few times, and they remember you if you let them have a great experience at check-in. They'll remember you, and I've had quite a few guests who I've boarded who come up and say thank you so much. I think it's definitely the most rewarding part of the job is when you give a guest a great experience and they really do remember you and they remember the experience. And then that also helps because they will recommend your airline to other friends or family members. So I think that's a huge experience. It's having great customer service skills.
Sorry, great. That's a great answer, Katie. Ashely, what skills do you think help the most in the job?
Surely. So I would put it down to two specific ones. There's one, holding a conversation. So your communication skills as general, and problem solving. That's something as a PSA, you're always doing it. You're not thinking about it twice. Of course, you do have to sometimes think what you speak before you speak. But very importantly is keeping on a smile. As Katie mentioned, the passengers remember you for the good and especially for the bad. Very honest. So it's all about communicating, putting the things down to the passenger or the guest, as we call it, in a way that they will take it forward, and they will, as I said, it starts their journey off. It's what they see first when they enter the airport. So it can make or even break many people's or guests' experience. So it's all about communicating, be it in regular operations or IROPS operations, which do happen, unfortunately, being in Canada, which we're going to face a lot going forward, if I'll be honest, with winter coming in. So it's all about keeping up that smile. Because remember, if you can put a conversation through, the most of difficult news is if you can put that over to a guest, with a smile, let's say a flight cancellation, it can make their life a little easier. Like just day before yesterday, I'll take a second when I say this. I had an individual heading in for their wedding, and unfortunately, the parking bus, the shuttle bus, I've forgotten their name. I think Park and Fly, I believe. Yeah, I have to take the name there, but they unfortunately left their bags, and this is a wedding couple. Their check-in bags were missing, and unfortunately, the bride was in shambles, if I'll be honest. But it's all about communicating. I just told her, it's now that it's gone. Yes, now you know where it is. It was fortunately at their headquarters, but they wouldn't have made their flight, and this is their wedding flight. Luckily, they had their dresses and everything there, and they had a beautiful daughter who she was 4 years old and consoling her mom. So I absolutely sad for them. But at the end of the day, I had to remind them that it's not their fault and they can't change anything at this point. They can't let it affect what they're going to do over there. So it just left me with a little thing that, see, at the end of the day, not everything can be in your control. And I think that's something they really appreciated. They really liked it. And I got a little gift out of them, which was totally unexpected when they came up to board the flight. Fortunately, I was lead for the same flight. And the lead is a little away from your boarding agents, but they took their time, especially being first to board because of the services they had asked for. They took their time to come to the site, say a small thank you, and give me a small gift. It was so rewarding. And at the end of the day, it's all about making someone stay, even if it's a tough one to start off with. That's a PSA, if I'll be honest for you.
I love it. Great story. Well, not so happy ending, but hopefully it worked out for them. Okay, Prince, what do you think is the skill that would help you the most in the job?
I have two. As you know, I have a very bubbly personality, and like passengers, whenever they see me, they always ask for the products that I use in my face, how old you are you 15 years old working the airport? Why are you smiling so much and all that? So I feel like that's the thing. You have to make sure that you're connecting with your passengers, because like Katie said, that could lead them to that leads them to go back to your company and fly again. And also I agree with Ashely as well with the problem solving skills. At the end of the day, you are there to help them out and not just there to just smile at them. You are there to help them out with their problems as much as you can, and that's the best way possible that we can help them.
Guys, you got some great skills to reinforce, so that's great. Okay, I see the time is now 11:32, so I just want to thank our panel for joining us today and sharing such great information. I've learned so much today. You guys are all doing a fantastic job, and you've taken what you learned from Seneca and are putting it into the industry, which is so great to see. And thank you for taking the time. I know you are working odd shifts and you had to get up a bit early, so we do appreciate it. And I'm sure the students appreciate it too. So thank you all. And yeah, don't forget you have an assignment due next week. And students, I'll see you next week for my students. We won't have a class this afternoon. Yeah, thanks guys. Take care. And if the panelists can stay on.
Also, the same time,